Time for an oil change on the Kawasaki. So what I did was I went ahead and bought the full synthetic. Actually, it's actually a kit on Amazon. You get the 5 quarts of full synthetic, the filter, and the 2 crush washers, and I think it's about $90, and which isn't really that bad. If you went and bought it individually, especially if you went to you know, the actual dealership and bought this stuff, it'd be pretty expensive. But that's what I have. That's the oil filter number there, and again, that's what we're going to use, 1040 full synthetic from Kawasaki. And to assist me in doing this, I finally broke down and bought a low profile, made for motorcycles, oil drain pan. And the neat thing about this, you can save it in a spot up here, you can put the filter if you want to and let that drain. But the nice thing about this, aside from the little plugs, there's O-rings and all that, but sometimes the oil, like in my last one I used to use, would fill up, and then this would want to burp and pop and actually send stuff all over the place. These guys actually make it so it has like a little vent plug and stuff here to displace the air while it's draining in, which I thought was pretty cool. So the drain plugs on the Kawasaki, 17 mil. So we're going to break that loose, and what I do is I use this type here from Harbor Freight Tools because it's telescopic. It gives me the extra leverage I need for getting those bolts off, which is nice. It's a little detents and all that. So again, this is just a Harbor Freight Tools, and it's got the 2 different fittings on each side for different size sockets. I've already let this warm up for a bit, and everything should be nice and thin as far as the oil goes. What I'm going to do, guys, I'm going to go ahead and pull the drains out, the plugs, and actually let this thing drain, and then go back in the house for a while, make some coffee, maybe some breakfast or something like that, just so it has plenty of time without rushing it for all that oil to get out. After the drains are done, then I'll come up here to the front, which is where the oil filter is located. Actually, I'll get you a better view. It's actually right there. So I'll see what that's going to be like to get that off. But anyway, it should be pretty easy. We go ahead and get the drain pan on there and get the plugs pulled. Okay, so I know you guys probably already know this. It's good to pull the actual dipstick out just so that the air can help displace the oil, so it doesn't try to kind of bubble its way down into the drain. Here you can still see just a little bit of oil still leaking out. Again, this pan is awesome because it fits right under the bike, and then I can pull it out without it sloshing around, wanting to spill everywhere. Those came right off, so I'll check the manual for the torque value on those, and once this is fully drained, then I'll go ahead and take the filter off and let that drain. But like I said, I'm going to walk in the other room for a while, and we'll come back after this thing is fully drained. Okay, so the bolts are all cleaned up. These are the new crush washers here. I thought for sure they'd be stuck to the bolt, but it looks like they're stuck to the underside of the engine. So once that's fully drained, I'll go ahead and use something like this if I can. It's my little nylon pry tool. And if that doesn't work, then I'll have to use a screwdriver. I just don't really want to try to mar up or scratch the surface that the crush washers are seated against. So I'll try something like this first to go ahead and get them off. They should come right off. There's no reason why they should be bonded to the engine. I only have about 1,200 miles on the bike, and I just want to get the factory break-in oil out of it. So after this, using full synthetic, since it's liquid cooled, I'll go ahead and set myself up for every 5,000 miles. So once the odometer hits 5,000, it'll be time for the next one. And then, again, every 5 after that. And in case you're wondering, whenever I had this bike in the garage, since it leans over so far, I have that little 2-inch rubber block that I made a long time ago, and I put the kickstand on that. The bike still leans, so it's good for the oil change, but at least it's up a little bit. And that gives me more room to get underneath at the drain plugs and everything else. But I just wanted to let you know that that's why it's kind of sitting like that, because I do have it up on these rubber blocks. You can use a 2x4 or whatever. I just wanted to get the rubber blocks a long time ago. Alright, so there's the crush washers there. They're actually not in bad shape. I might clean them up and keep them for an emergency spare, but I'm still going to put the new ones on. Yeah, they basically pull right off. In fact, I didn't even need to use that little nylon pry tool. And as you can see, it's still dripping, so I'm going to let this go ahead and drip for a while. And then what I'll do is I'll pull this pan out once I get the plugs back in and torque down the specs. And I'm going to measure exactly how much came out. So we'll take it from there. Again, because it's only 1,200 miles, the oil really wasn't that dirty, but it needs to come out because it's the break-in oil. Doing a side-by-side comparison, this thin one is the new one, the thick one is the old one. So you know what? I'm actually going to go ahead and use the old ones this time. Save these nice brand new ones for an emergency spare or backup. And yeah, they're in good shape. They're not deformed. They're not crushed that much. Again, it's always good, guys, to go ahead and have fresh ones just in case you inspect it and it's been over torqued. Maybe it's not, maybe it's too flat or something like that. It may not seal. So you may want to go ahead and check those. But they're good, so I'm going to go ahead and reuse them this time. So I'll put those back on here. The flat side toward the engine. There's a rounded side. So again, you want to put the flat side toward the engine. There's not even a ridge or anything on these, so they're in really, really good shape. So basically, in the Vulcan 1700 Voyager's owner's manual, for me, since I have a 2023, the oil change, it looks like it starts on 148, and what I like about this is in the back you can actually put down and do this. Now guys, this is important. I was able to get quite a bit more money for my my Honda when I traded it in because I kept up with this. Some people don't think this is important, but if you ever go to trade your bike in, they want to see this service record. And as long as you have it written down, I mean, my bike sold in less than a week, where there was a bunch of other bikes that were still sitting out there, and that was my VTX 1300. Yeah, I did keep it looking nice and look new and all that stuff, but still, knowing it was taken care of, I put everything in here when I used to change the rear diff oil and all that stuff. So today we'll add the oil change and exactly what I used and all that stuff, and make sure that's fully documented. It looks like the drain bolts are 15 foot-pounds, so actually I'll just do this just in case you guys are in another country and use different settings on your torque wrench. It'll be hard to get the 13 foot-pounds for the oil filter. I don't think I'll be able to gauge that very well. Another thing is the O-ring. Always put oil on it. It's not that it creates a better seal. What it does is it lubricates it, so as you tighten it, it slides. It doesn't start tearing, and the tearing, microscopic tearing, is what would give you oil leaks down the line. So that's why you really want to put a fresh thing of oil on there. And I guess you can use the old oil that you drain, but I don't. Since I have the fresh stuff, I always use that. Okay, but we're waiting for that to go ahead and drain. Let's talk about torque wrenches. So basically, this one from Harbor Freight Tools. Never had a problem with it. It's kind of neat because you have, it looks like newton meters on one side, and then the other side you have your foot-pounds, and that's what I'll be setting for 15. And the biggest thing to make these things last and to stay calibrated is when you're done with them, unscrew this so it's just slightly below the zero, so there's absolutely no pressure on the spring. That helps to go ahead and set up the torque value for you. And that's how you can get a torque wrench that you don't have to pay a fortune for, but you can get it to go ahead and last a long time. And use this pan is great. Even when I go to slide it out, it won't slosh or spill or anything. And so we've got these hand tight now, and I'm just going to go ahead and put the torque wrench on them. Again, 15 foot-pounds. Okay, I'll torque down. The neat thing is I can just slide this forward up toward the wheel. And again, there's plenty of room here. And now I can go ahead and take the oil filter off and let that drain. Okay, so this pressed steel one I had, the nice thing is the ridges go all the way down, which is nice. That cast one I just had, unless you can have a lot of force pushing it in, it didn't do anything. So let me go ahead and try this one, and that way I can use just a good old socket and stuff to put it in there. It looks like a 3/8 drive, and we'll go ahead and take it from there. Okay, that's perfect. So at least I know next time use the stamped steel wrench along with the socket if I have to, if it's too tight. And you can see it's actually doing the trick. I'm not sure. I don't think I can get a torque wrench in here to get the proper value. Although I do have a hook, a claw. I might try that, but I'm not sure because this thing has to be tight. So worst case scenario is I put it on and try to match the tightness that I just did with this wrench when I put the new one on. So, and again, it always, once it bites, it's stuck, and then I'll have to use a hammer to knock this off. I'll just have to remember that when I put the wrench back on the new filter, that I don't put it on too tight. So again, we have the drain pan here, and let's get this out of here. I think I could actually love an oil drain pan like I love this thing, man. It's just freaking awesome. I used to just use a regular drain pan before, and I remember I accidentally bumped into it like a klutz, and of course I had to spill everywhere. Not that it's the end of the world, you know, you can go ahead and always clean it up, but it made quite the mess. So let's go ahead and let this drain for a bit. So I don't know about you guys, but I just get a kick out of fresh oil in any vehicle, whether it's my FJ, the Saab, or one of the motorcycles. You can just feel and hear the difference when there's a fresh oil in there. And this is synthetic, okay? So, alright, so what is synthetic? You get your normal oil, and then they have a type of oil that they realign the molecules, but it's still oil. It's just that with the molecules realigned, it's supposed to, the properties of it are supposed to be a lot better than the typical oil that comes out. So that's why they're calling it synthetic, because it's been actually modified so that the natural molecules and stuff like that are all in alignment. So yeah, I'm putting full synthetic. I used to do the normal, and then like a blend and this, until I read up about the blends. They never tell you how much synthetic is actually in it. It could be 5%, it could be 2%, so you're just throwing your money away. So anyway, I'm going to switch over to this now, and that's another nice thing about taking the oil out. I'm not sure what's in there, if that's the standard oil or some sort of factory break-in oil, but at least it's gone, and it'll be replaced with this. So at least the next time I do an oil change, it'll be a lot easier, because now I'll know, yes, use this press on to get the filter off, and everything will be easier. Plus, I won't be filming, so it makes it go a lot quicker. Okay, so I'm imagining this thing is splash proof, so today I'm going to actually give it its first real wash. I've been just kind of touching it up with, you know, distilled water and Windex where needed, but I'm going to wash the whole bike. This is taking a beating through the road with debris and all that stuff. I'm kind of wondering if there was, if there's like a rubber mud guard for this that they might sell. I don't want anything that looks stupid, so if I can't find anything that looks really, really nice, I don't want it. But it'd be nice to have a little bit more protection and protect this here. So let me clean this up and then get the oil filter on. Again, we'll start it after we get the oil in, check it all out, and then I want to wheel it out and give it a good wash. So it's all cleaned up. Make sure that there's no debris, nothing stuck to the mating surface on the engine. Just give that a good wipe, and then I'm going to tighten this up finger tight for now, and then I'm going to get the wrench on there and just kind of make a guess. Sometimes a quarter turn is pretty much all you need, and the O-ring does all the work, but you just want to make sure that the vibration doesn't loosen this up, so it doesn't have to be torqued on too tight. Well, you can actually feel it as you tighten it up. It was approximately a quarter turn. You can feel it tighten up as the metal starts to press against the engine. And this little thing here is just the greatest, man. It's perfect for this. So now I don't have to dread having to fight with the oil filter. So that's it. Everything's all drained. You got the new filter on. We just need to go ahead and put some fresh stuff in. And like I said, before I do anything, I'm going to go ahead and transfer the waste oil into a container where I can measure it. I'm just curious to find out exactly how much came out. I got a gallon, and I got the we're looking at here, so a quart, no, 32. So again, this should be approximately 5 quarts, and this will kind of give me an idea of exactly how much I was able to get out. And if you guys get these things, it's always good to give them a clean. I just have a degreaser that I mix up, and like I said, I'm just going to go ahead and dump this out. So I use 2 separate funnels. This is kind of waste oil, then of course I'll clean that all up, and one ready to go with a long neck on the bike, so that'll be the fresh oil. Alright, so there we have it. We got almost 5 quarts that came out, a gallon here and a little bit less. The book says 4.8, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to put 4 and probably, I don't know, I'll start with 4.5 quarts in there. then run it, double check the level, and then I can add a little bit more. This will give me a little bit left over as a spare if I need it, and worst case scenario I can just use whatever's left in the next oil change. So let's go ahead and get this in, but that's what came out. Alright, so we got the filler cap back on. I'm going to go ahead and start it and let it run for a little bit, and then shut it off and let it sit for a few minutes, letting all the oil basically drain down to where it needs to be so I can get a proper reading. So we'll go ahead and start it up. Yeah, this weird key, Kawasaki keys, the blanks are like $26 to $28, really. I found a place, I actually have a video talking about these keys where I think this was $3.99, and then I went down, I had it cut for $5. So anyway, so now I've got one here and I got a spare. Did the same thing with the VMAX, but anyway, that's a different video. So let me go ahead and get this thing started up. $10.95, almost 1,100 miles. It'll be interesting to watch this. I would imagine everything's splash proof. So what I heard was these leak, so I'll take everything out of there. There is a little drain hole at the bottom, and then once I make sure they dry, I put the stuff back in. But anyway, getting back to the oil, you got to go ahead and put the cap on and screw it down, and that's the only way you can get an accurate reading. So let's have a look and see what it looks like. Okay, I don't know if you guys can see that or not, but it looks like it's a little ways to go before it's full, which means I'm just going to put the rest of the oil in. Okay, nice and full. Just needed a couple more ounces. Not quite 5 quarts, but just a couple more ounces did the trick. So anyway, guys, it only takes a few minutes to do this. Of course, filming it makes it take forever because there's all kinds of little side stories and things like that. Hey guys, there it is. Only took a couple more ounces, brought it right up to the top of the fill mark, especially when the oil is heated. That makes room for any expansion, puts it just where I wanted to. So normally it would only take a few minutes to do this, but of course filming little side stories here and there, it takes a lot longer. So if you like what you saw, hit that like button, subscribe, and if you want to, and hit that bell notification for future content. I'll go ahead and get this on YouTube as quickly as I can, and thanks for watching.